really simple video that I want to make. I haven't done this, haven't worked on this in ages, is just to get a nice baseline of how far I'm carrying each club going into the season. So, you know, I hit a lot of balls, obviously inside. I have access to this launch monitor. I'm very lucky. But believe it or not, honestly, when I'm on the golf course, a lot of the time I'm kind of going from memory and thinking about how far I carry, you know, a 7-iron if I have a forced carry over water, or what wedge to hit from 125, these kind of things. So believe it or not, I do need to get a little bit better handle on the true carry of every shot. Roll is going to depend on any golf course conditions, weather conditions, stuff like that. So I've put it on the flat range here just so I can get carry numbers. I'm not going to worry about rollout. It's subjective. I want to do this also just to give you guys an idea of how far, you know, I hit my clubs. A lot of people ask me all the time, you know, how far do you hit these clubs? You know, your club head speed similar to mine, or other people ask, you know, because they're doing speed training and they want to know what's, you know, a good distance to hit a club. So a lot of people have asked me to do it. I'm happy to do it. And as I said, I think it's really going to be quite helpful for me going into the season just to get a better idea of how far every club goes. Help me hit a few more greens and just be a little bit more confident in my club selection. So 60-degree wedge to start. Let's see how far this goes, kind of with a nice, comfortable, smooth swing and a good strike. So that's probably as hard as I should ever hit a 60-degree wedge. Certainly not 100% speed. Backswing stays a bit shorter, and the speed of the swing is never 100%. You never want to hit a club like that full. 54-degree wedge. It's hit pretty well. Interesting. Okay. You know, it spun a lot, so I can tell that was well struck. Launch angle about 30. It's a little high, but that's, you know, a common strike for me is around 30 or 29. I probably had the ball position up a little bit. Maybe just hit one more just to double check. Maybe watch my ball, make sure it's not too far up in my stance. It struck a little better. So that one's going to fly a bit further because I had a ball further back in my stance, compressed it a bit more, put a bit more speed on it, down to 27.5. That's probably more like the shot I'd like to hit with it. Okay, 50-degree wedge. That I hit really well. It looked like that was about 120. Yeah, so a simple 120 carry. 120 is the comfortable yardage with a gap. You know, 112-ish, 111 with the 54. I'm fine with that gap being 9-10 yards. One thing I need to make sure I do is hit a lot of shots with this 50 to practice my 100, 105-yard shot. So just to show you what that looks like, arm parallel, meaning my right arm parallel to the ground, to arm parallel on the follow through. That should give me about 100 yards, 105 yards with this particular wedge. Again, 50-degree wedge. So you can tell already I need to practice that because that went 90 yards. Yeah, so that's the shot there. That should go about 103, 102. Okay, pitching wedge. It's a pretty good strike. About 138 or so. It's hit pretty nice also. I think it was about the same. Okay, simple. Yeah, I think 139 is the number for the pitching wedge. Again, I'm not the most warmed up right now, but I think that's for the best. I filmed a little session just talking about the drills I'm working on. So I have warmed up. It's as much warm up as I would do for a golf course day. So that being said, I think it's better for me to get yardages, you know, after a 30-minute warm up versus me getting yardages after 3 hours of hitting when I probably have an extra 5-10 yards per club. Okay, 9-iron. It's pretty well struck. Yeah, I actually don't think I could hit that any better. It's right on the line. It felt really good off the face. 149. Perfect. Pretty even 10-yard gap in there. It's not perfect, but again, game day speed. I would probably get 155 out of it when I'm a little bit more loose, but on the first tee, first hole, I need to know how far these are going. So I got 8 iron here. It's hit pretty well. It's a little spinny. I'm going to hit one more. I think that's more of what happens when I leave the face just a shade open. Okay, here's an 8 iron there. Hit that pretty well. Looked like about 165. 166, yeah, that's about as good as I can hit that. That's about a 15-yard gap between the 9 iron, 15, 16 yards. That's what you expect to see. The shorter clubs are closer to 10 yards. I should see now 8 iron through 5 iron, hopefully separate by 15 yards. So into the 7, as I just mentioned, I hope to see this fly right about 180. Maybe no more than 182 would be great. Give me a nice even gap. I hit that quite well. See how far that goes. Yeah, 183. And I would say that was a well above average strike. I hit that really, really well. So 6 iron, simple, hopefully 196, 197 would be perfect. Hit that nice. It felt a little slow on the swing. I'm going to hit another one. Yeah, 191. It was just a little bit of a tentative swing. The strike was good. I didn't feel like I gave it a full. I can tell by the ball speed it's a little bit low. That's a nice one. Much better swing. So moving into the 5 iron, again, I'm hoping to see these 15-yard gaps maintained. I want to see this fly 210, and if not 210, just under it would be okay. So really well struck 5, it felt good. Okay. Also pretty well hit. 207. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think that's something to keep in mind, is be aware that when I get into the longer clubs, I do tend to get a little bit tentative at times. This is good that I've done this session to identify that, because really with this 4 iron, I would have liked to have seen 225 carry, and I don't think I'm going to get there, considering the 5 iron, 207 was kind of the max. But let's see what we get out of it. I mean, if I could get 220 or 219 or so, for today, I think I'd be happy enough with that. Going into the season, I'd have an idea of how far the long irons go, but this has definitely identified an area that needs work. A little bit more normal flight, straight ball. This is interesting. So maybe the 5 iron needs a slight loft tweak. Maybe, I know I said I didn't really need it, but I actually hit that one really well. Straight ball flight. It may just be that the 5 iron, for whatever reason, I'll have the lofts checked. Maybe they've come out a little bit. Maybe that one's gotten a bit weaker, because I found it hard to get that 210 number. So good to see that the 4 iron's good though. So 225 with the 4 iron, no issues there. All right, into the 5 wood. Expect to see this do 255 in the air, but let's see how we're looking. Pretty good strike there. I like the flight. That's what I prefer to see with this club, is like a straight or very slight fade. Yeah, 254 carry. Perfect. It's exactly what I would have expected. A couple drivers, obviously, just for fun. I don't really need to know how far I carry my driver, but we'll put it in there so we have a complete yardage list. Let's hit well. I would say that is more representative of a good strike and a typical shot for me. 306 carry. Let's go with that. The first one obviously carried way further, but I don't think I can depend on a knuckleball on the golf course to fly 320 on a regular basis. So appreciate you guys watching. Some eye-opening spots in the bag there. The wedges, I have no concerns. I just need to make sure I practice the partials so I fill in the gaps there. That's something I need to do for my game anyway, so just a good little reminder. And then into the long irons, I may look at my 5-iron. I'll do some more sessions, but it's possible the 5-iron has come out of loft a little bit, just because it seemed like it was easy to get the distance with the 4, but the 5 struggled a bit. So other than that, the gaps were very even. The yardages are pretty much where I expected. No real huge surprises going into the season, so I can be pretty comfortable, but I've made myself a list here of the yardages. I'm going to try to ingrate into my memory a bit more, so when I get to the course, I'm not searching for the answer, but how far I carry it. I can be a little bit more confident now that the irons are going pretty much the distances that I expect. So something I recommend you guys doing if you can get on a launch monitor, even if you rent one for an hour. Get your carries very solid. Make sure you know how far you're hitting them so you can get to the course and just find it a bit easier to pick a club. Thanks for watching.